Hello guys, so welcome to your Python programming tutorial videos. In this video, we are going to be looking at indentation in Python. Now, a brief introduction. Python uses indentation or spaces. When we talk about indentation, we're actually talking about spaces. So that's spaces on the left-hand side, okay? So Python uses indentation spaces rather than braces to indicate blocks of code, suites, or statement body. So block of code or is also known as a suite or a statement body. Now, we have indentation is rigidly enforced in Python. Now, Python rigidly enforces indentation. If you have worked with other programming languages like C, Java, you can decide when to use indentation or not. But in Python, you don't have a choice. You must use indentation, and it helps Python codes to look neater. So if you're a bad programmer, like a programmer who doesn't respect some of the rules of programming, then when you come into Python, you're forced to follow these rules. You must indent your code so that others can properly read your code. If you don't indent Python programming codes, you're going to get into an error. Now, the number of spaces used is not specific, but must match for all statements in the particular block. We are going to be looking at that shortly, but the number of spaces must match. Now, in Python blocks, indentation starts, or a Python block starts with a colon. So in Python, a block starts with a colon. Once you see a colon, you know you're about to start a block of code. So here we are, where I'm going to show you some examples. Now, like in the previous this is our third video actually. So in the last video, we talked about Python variables. For example, here we have an identifier on the left hand side, and we have a value on the right hand side. So here we assign the value 30 to var1, 40 to var2. We have another identifier move. We assign it to the value var1 greater than var2, which should be equal. So here move is going to have the value either true or false. Now here you can see we enter a block. If move is equal to true, you see we start here with a colon. It means we are inside a block of code. Now notice all the lines in the block of code. We have 4 lines here in the block of code. All of them have a specific indentation. Now in Python, this is compulsory. Now we are using 4 spaces. 5 here. You can use 4, you can use 3, you can use 2, but most programmers use 4 and some other funny programmers use 2. So but 1 is strange. You don't use 1, but you can use it if you want, but normally programmers use 4. So as you can see, we are inside the block of code. If statements, in the else statement, we are inside another block of code. Now I'm going to teach you guys the if else statement later on. I'm just indicating to you guys the block of code there. So in the else statement, you see we are inside another block of code. All statements here have the same indentation of 4 spaces. Now at this point, you see we are the same indentation of the else statement, which means we are outside the if else statement. We are outside here. We see we have 0 indentation from the left hand side. All right, now we have a while statement. I'm going to teach you guys about while loops later on. But you see all statements within the while statement have a particular indentation. We even have an inner block within the while statement. You see it also has its own indentation. Notice all indentation starts with colon. Notice all indentation starts with colon. So you can see if this while is part of the block, is in the block of this outer while statement. This is an inner while statement. So it's an inner block, and here we have an outer block. So you see at the end, we go back to the end of this statement. Now this statement can easily run. If I run it, you see it's a valid Python statement. Here is the output, you see, and it's very long. So summary, in this video, I was just trying to explain to you guys that Python uses blocks or indentation to indicate blocks of code, and each indentation must have the same number of spaces from the left side, and each line of code must have the same indentation within a block. It can be 2, it can be 1, it can be whatever number, but most commonly most programmers use 4. And indentation starts with a block starts with a colon, as you can see. Now, in another programming language like Java, you will see the use of curly braces. You see these are curly braces. They are used to indicate blocks. You see this another curly braces. It's this another curly braces here used to indicate block, and this another curly braces used to indicate a block. But Python doesn't use curly braces. Python uses indentation to indicate block or suites of code. All right, thank you, and see you in the next video. Have a nice time.